So, hey, it's JJ. Welcome back to my channel, and I want to talk to you about my postpartum depression when I had my son Sebastian. I want to say, after I had my son, my ex-husband went straight to work after a few days. I want to say a day or two, because he got a new job, and he went straight to work. Again, this was my first time ever with an actual baby, by myself. Um, so no clue what I was doing. When I got home from the hospital, Sai would change his diaper and kind of like show me like, hey, this is the little belly button part. It's supposed to fall off. You have to be careful around this part because you know he just got cut here. So everything that the nurses showed him while I was asleep, he got home, he was showing me, and he kind of was on this road like, I got it, don't worry about it, but I knew he wouldn't always be home, so I needed to worry about it. I need to do it. So that's kind of my mindset. I was like, I know you got it, but I want to do it. And the first time I did it, I want to say my son was just crying because I was taking so long. But mind you, I had a C-section, so I'm trying to bend over and, do it properly and listen to what he's telling me and also not, hurt myself. And yeah, he kind of was like, okay, I'll teach you more, but he's crying right now and he's little, his little lungs. Let me just do it. So I just watched him, and like I said, after a day or two, he ended up leaving. The first day he left, because he knew I had like a no knowledge of babies. He was super nervous with leaving me with him, so he would call constantly, and I started to ignore his call that day because it was like, look, it's hard to keep getting up and get the phone on the charger, and it was also hard to like keep getting the phone while the baby was asleep because I didn't want to wake him up trying to get the phone and be like, yeah, he's okay, and then he wakes up because I still needed to rest my body. But yeah, that day he came home and he was like, he came right he came right through the door when I had went to the bathroom and I had laid the baby on the bed. I was coming out the bathroom. I had just went in there to check on him and I was about to make him a bottle, and he came through the door and he was like, where's my son? And I was a little offended because I was like, wow, you didn't think I could take care of a whole baby for half of a day. And so I was like, I don't know. Where is our baby? He was like, stop playing with me. And he walked past me, went in the bedroom, and saw that our son was okay. He was laying on the bed, he was sleeping. And he immediately went to the bed and was kissing all over him, which was cute, but it irritated me only because I was like, it's so hard to get him to go to sleep. Well, it wasn't hard to get him to go to sleep. All he did was sleep, but it was hard to get him to go to sleep not on me. As soon as I put him down, a lot of the times he'd wake up and be crying until I put him on me, and then he would sleep again. But the point is, he always had to be on me to go to sleep. So, Sai ended up just saying, look, I don't like this job that I got, and I'm going to go back to my old job. And I was like, that's cool, that's fine. I was pretty sure they'd take him back because he was really good at what he did. And, of course, they took him back. And it was okay at first, but then he stopped, like, coming home. What I mean by that is he would call me and he would just be like, yeah, I'm at work and I'm going to stay until 3 in the morning. I'm gonna stay until this time. I'm gonna stay till the next day. And it would be like, dang, when do you come home? When are you gonna come home? I have a baby. We have a baby. I need help, because wasn't getting any sleep because I was so scared about, rolling over on him, and he wouldn't sleep in the crib because he kept waking up. Like I said, he had to be on me, and I just had a lot of anxiety about just accidentally falling asleep and rolling on him. And so I didn't really get much sleep. So it was like, come home, and he'd come home, and he'd be like, I'm so tired. I worked so hard. But then he would call me at the job and be like, yeah, I'm watching a movie. Yeah, and just be laughing with his friend. And it'd be like, I thought you were working so hard. I know that sounds kind of jacked up. It was like, dang, if you ain't even working hard, you over here watching movies while I'm over here struggling and wanting sleep. And then when he would come home, he would just mostly want to sit on his computer and play a game. And then when I did talk to him about it, I was like, hey, you gotta come home a little more. I'm a little tired. As he would play the game, when the baby falls asleep, he'll lay the baby beside me, which is cool as long as you are watching the baby. But he would lay the baby beside me, and then he would go back to playing the game. And then when the baby started moving and kind of crying a little bit, he would just glance over at me like to see if I would get up. And then I would get up, and he'd be like, oh, I was about to get up. But the whole time he'd be sitting there watching me. And throughout all that, he would also be like, hey, when did the baby last eat? Hey, when is he supposed to eat again? Hey. So it's like I didn't really get no sleep because I was constantly being asked questions, and I was like, I just want to sleep. I just want a nap. So it was almost like it was non-existent for me, and I was just always having to keep going. And then it started getting hard because I was always tired, and then I was always alone. So you're alone, your body is different, and you're struggling. And then when people come over, the first thing they want to say is, you're not doing this right, you're not holding the head right, you're not moving right, you have to do this, and that, you have to sit the baby up like this, and kind of not realizing that you just had a C-section. So all of that is harder than what they think. Also, like I said, I was always alone in an apartment by myself with a baby that almost always seemed to not stop crying. And for the first few months, I didn't feel that bond that most moms say they feel. I knew this little person was mine, and I had to take care of this little person, and that's how I felt, But he would always cry with me, like always cry. And with his dad, like his dad could just lay his cheek on his cheek or lay close beside him, and he would be asleep. Or like when he would come home the next day and go to sleep, I would have to like wrap his body up and tell him to wrap himself up. And kind of put like a pillow between them so he wouldn't roll over on the baby. But he would just lay there, and the baby would just be asleep, just hearing his loud snoring, and the baby would just be chill and sleep. But when the baby was home alone with me, like he would not just sleep. Like it was always a constant crying, and it took so long for me to kind of master that and like get into where he wasn't doing that, and get to the point where I didn't always have him on me and kind of like, putting him down or setting him in his little chair. And even when it was like time to sleep, he would sleep for like maybe I want to say like 20 minutes and then be up again. So enough time for me to just fold laundry, which I would do in the room with him. And if I had to wash dishes, I would take him into the kitchen with me when it was time for him to walk around. Now, when he was a baby, I didn't do too much of that. I would try to wash the dish as quickly as possible. So sometimes when Si would come home, he'd be like, oh, it's a couple dishes in the sink, which would irritate the life out of me because I'm with a baby all day. Yes, there's a couple dishes in the sink. It's hard for me to put him down, so it's gonna be a couple dishes in the sink. And I think it was the nitpicking for me. Like, everything was like a nitpick. You got some dishes in here. Why didn't you pre-make a bottle? Why? Like, it was just so much nitpicking, and it was like, dude, you can't even time when the baby eats properly, but you coming at me for having a couple dishes and not pre-making a bottle. Like, that ain't me. Can I do one more time? You're not gonna get him to do it one more time? I will cut it off. My God.
Off for daddy.
Come on. Good job, baby. Good job, baby. Yay, baby. Good job. And then again, it was just so exhausting. I was tired and I was lonely because this person was coming in. This person's side was coming like pretty much the next day. He was working so much, and again, that was, I understood because he was the only one working and we had a newborn baby. But it was just like, geez, you don't make no time for us, and you're not making any time for us. When he would come home, he would take a few selfies with the baby and then just kind of like play with him for a few seconds, and then it was back to being with mommy. Which I want to say is pretty much how it's been ever since too. Like he would play with him for a little bit and then it's back with being with mommy. But that's besides the point. So I was pretty lonely and I made a video of me crying when I had the baby because the baby was crying. I was crying and I was like, I don't know what to do. Like it, because it was so long and I was so tired and I just wanted him to go to sleep. And then he was choking off of his spit because he was crying so much and he was and I was like, oh my gosh, and it was just scary. It was just like a scary moment, and I remember calling him like he won't stop crying and like he's choking and stuff like that. And still didn't come home. He was like, okay, well, let me hear him do this, this, and that, but still did not come home. It was almost like how some people have help with babies. I just was completely left on my own to deal with it and no help like at all. So that's pretty much how I was. I was just stuck in that, like, I don't have no help. I'm tired and I'm lonely and I need help. And it just started to weigh on me and weigh on me and weigh on me. And the first time I tried to take my life, I believe Sai was home. I took a picture too of him with the baby. And he went to sleep with the baby. And I put the baby beside him. And then I went to the bathroom. I ran me some water, some bath water, put my pocket knife on the side. I lit some candles. I don't know. I'm dramatic, so I was putting up a scene dramatically. And I remember I said, when I slit my wrist, I'm going to write something on the wall so they know why I did it, because I wasn't going to write a note. I felt like I didn't have time. I was like, I don't have time for a note because the baby going to wake up. So I was just going to write, I'm sorry. I'm alone. I love you both. And I felt bad because I was like, I would be leaving him alone with a whole infant, but I was so tired and I just wanted to sleep any way possible. And I remember hearing my baby whine a little bit, and I got up, and it's because he had rolled too close to him, and it almost looked like he was close to the cover, so the nose couldn't really breathe too well. And I remember being so pissed off at Sai because I was like, God damn, I can't even kill myself without having to worry about you killing the baby. And ultimately, that pretty much saved my life anyway. My son saved my life because if I didn't hear that little I was already taking the clothes off, getting ready to handle the situation. The second time, we were in a car. I think I have a picture of this too, not of us all in the car, but of the baby in the car. And I remember just looking at Sai and looking at our baby. And I remember I was in the front seat of the car, I think. And I had, because normally I sit in the back, and for some reason I was in the front seat of the car. And I had tried to open the door while he was driving because I just wanted to roll out of the car. I don't know why. My brain just kept thinking, just open it and go. And so I did it. I tried to open it, and luckily he had the child locks on, and he looked at me, and I remember him like, and I kind of looked straight ahead like, I didn't do that. You didn't see what you just saw. Later on, we talked about it, and he was like, I kind of thought you did that, but, you know, the whole plan was to make him think I didn't do that. And I want to say the last attempt was when he was home again, and I was just really, really tired, and I had him lay beside the baby again, and I was just like, I should just go outside and just walk in traffic and see what happens. And so I walked to the front of my door, and I remember opening it, and as soon as the loud creak sound of the door did that, the baby woke up, and I heard him calling my name like, Jasmine. And I was like, and so after that third attempt, it was pretty clear that I wasn't going to be able to do what I wanted to do. So I needed to talk to him about it. So when he got home, he sat on our little futon, and I was like, hey, I need to talk to you about something serious and important. And he was like, what is it? So he sat down, and I told him everything. I was like, look, I am not happy. You work every single day. And he did. He truly worked almost every single day. I believe he did work every single day. It was every single day, back to back to back to back. So imagine somebody just coming home to sleep and then getting up and going right back to work in like a few hours. It was just... So I let him know I was unhappy with that, and that what I had been trying to do, and that I needed him to help me. Like, he needed to fix this because I couldn't fix it by myself. And I always gave him mad respect, because when I told him that, I gave him 6 months to kind of like look for something else, and he did it within 2 months. He found another job. And this is when we actually bought around the time we bought so this was the time where we bought our house. And again, we were so happy. He had a new job. He was coming home. He was like, I love this. I love being able to come home. I'm making enough money where I don't have to work so many hours. And we were so happy. I was so happy. And he would, on his days off, get up early, make breakfast for us, make breakfast with our son. And it was just everything. And I felt like every time we got to be together, it was just everything. Like, when we weren't together, it just seemed like we were strangers. But when we got together and we got to spend the time together, it's just like we just always seemed to fall in love with each other over and over and over and over again, and just really value each other and each other's time with each other. And I love that he spent time with our son, and that he wanted to go to playgrounds. He wanted to just walk around in stores and window shop, though he could never just window shop. He always had to buy him something weight related, like weights or like a belt or something. Like, those little training belts. Like he always had to buy something, but I didn't care because we were spending time together. I didn't even care when we just went to the grocery store together, as long as we were spending some type of family time together. We went to the library together. We did all kinds of things together. But again, he started spending a lot of time at this job and wanting to do overtime. And then, even people were commenting at his job, like, you spend a lot of time here, and, we do appreciate you, but you need to spend time with your family. And he was like, I'm the only one that works, and, she doesn't have a job, so I need this money, though I don't feel like we actually needed it. I feel like he saw the paycheck and was just like, this is really good money, and he was really into saving, and I respected that too. It's just the work-life balance. He just did not want to find a medium. He didn't want to. Every time he promised me he would change, he would always keep working and working and working. And around this time, I was always giving him hugs, and I was like, I hate that you have to work like this. I understand why you work like this, but I hate that you have to work like this. And when our son goes to school, I want to be able to drive, and I want to be able to work and stuff. And he was with it. He was like, let's do that. But then slowly he started to be like, if you start driving, my insurance is going to go up, and let's wait till you get a job first. And I was like, well, shouldn't I drive first so I could be able to make it to the jobs? And like, just, it made more sense like that. But then it started to feel almost like he just didn't want me to get a job and a car and stuff. And then it started to feel like he was like, you need to get it on your own. And I didn't feel like I should have to, because we were a team and we were family. And I felt like if, like, you should help me. If you have the, necessities to help your wife get somewhere, then you should want to. Because I've always felt like that with him. If I had the money or certain things, like, I would always help him. And, like, even when it comes to applications, what to say, we would, practice with each other, brief each other on stuff, and just. But again, like, near a certain point in time, he just made it seem like you have to get it on your own. And I was just so hurt by that, because I was like, why should I have to when we're a team? I know why now, but I didn't understand then. And then gradually some stuff happened, and this all went to postpartum, because it felt like it went away, and maybe it did go away. The postpartum went away when we moved into the house and stuff, and we were just back to being a family, and I had help and I got sleep. But then I started being depressed, because again, I was always alone with the baby 24/7, and it wasn't like I wasn't doing anything. I was teaching him stuff. He knew how to count when he was just 3. He knew how to he knew how to count when he was 2. He knew his colors when he was 2. When he got about 3, we were doing stuff like ABCs, and he had all of his numbers from 1 to 100, and that was just when he was 3 years old. So to me, it was like, I'm not just sitting around doing nothing. I'm making sure this house is clean. When you come in, whether it be 11 or 1 a.m., I got food ready, cooked for you and stuff like that. And when he would come, like, he made a comment to me. And this is where I get with, like, I felt like every time he spoke to his brother, it felt like he was bullying me. He came home. He was like, I'm going to be home at 10:30. And I was like, wow, that's different. I'm going to have this food ready at 10:30. So he showed up at 11:30 talking to his brother on the phone. And he was like, yeah, I come home after a hard day of work, and I got to reheat my own food, which he didn't. I had heated it up. But he was making it a big deal, like, look what I have to do. And it was like, well, some wives make their husband's meal and then to put it in the refrigerator and you can heat it up when you get home. I'm up waiting for you, getting stuff ready. And that's another thing. I feel like he completely overlooked the things that I did. Like when he came home one day, he was like, I feel like I'm not appreciated. Even though every single day he walked in the door, I was quick to say, I love you. Baby, I appreciate the house that you gave me and Sebastian. I appreciate you going to work for us. I literally said this to him as he was telling me he felt unappreciated. And I was like, didn't I just say I appreciate you? And he made a comment that, you know how many women would appreciate a man like me in a house like this? And I remember just looking at him saying, didn't I just say I appreciate you? I should have said, you know how many men would appreciate a wife like me and the things that I do? Like, not for nothing, I'm a good catch too. But, yeah, so I listened to him, and what I did was I started to make him lunch and stuff, and like put a little cute notes in there. And then I realized he wasn't like, he didn't really notice that I was making him lunch. So I kind of was like, hey, I've been making you lunches and you're not really getting them. And he's like, what lunches? The ones in the refrigerator, in the lunch box that you are trying to overlook. And then one day he went down there and he opened it and he started laughing, making fun of the lunch that I made. Mind you, he went grocery shopping and he picked out a bunch of healthy stuff that he said he wanted to try. So I put all that stuff in the lunchbox. So when he take it to work, he could try it, try the little drinks, try the little stuff he picked out. And he was making fun of it. Like, look what she made me. I'm texting this to all my coworkers, telling them, look at the lunch you made. And it was like, dang, I got up at 4 a.m. I got up at 3 a.m. to wake our son up to go pee so he don't pee to bed, get him back to bed, get up at 4 a.m., go make the lunch, get him up at 5 a.m. And then as I'm down there, just like happy, like he's gonna see my little love note, he's gonna see the lunch, and he just making mad fun of it. Like, I started to feel unappreciated. Like how he said he was feeling, I actually felt it. And there would be times where, like, I would just, like, he didn't have to do anything but come home and eat and take a shower. And it wasn't enough. And then it was also like, he started complaining that he didn't have time for himself. Back then, I felt really bad for him. Now, I see how narcissistic that shit was, because when he got home and he made time, because granted, he didn't make time too much because he had got a new job because he didn't like the other job because his boss was being a little bit racist, so he moved to another job. He was in love with this job. He said this job was his dream job. I prayed for this job hard for him to get it and let it be his job that he loved, and he loved it, and I was happy. We were both excited. But again, like every other job, he kept overworking and never finding that work-life balance for us. And then, like I said, again, it just became like he would nitpick me. And then, where was I going? He would, like, I would do stuff like put this cream stuff on his feet. I would massage his shoulders. I would make sure all his clothes was set out. I would make sure that his dinner was ready. I would make sure that the trash was taken out. I would make sure that I had love notes written for him, poetry. I would send him little messages like, I love you, you're a perfect husband, and all this stuff. And he started complaining that he didn't have no time for himself because all he did was work. And I would say, well, stop working so much. And he'd be like, I need the money. We didn't need the money, but again, if that's what he felt like, then. So when I would do this thing where he would just have to spend 1 hour with our son, and then the rest of the day he could sit on his computer and play the, the little game that he likes to play. And so like I said, he would go on to be like, you always say you need a break. I never always said that. I said that maybe 3 times. And I do need a break because if I'm waking up at 3 a.m. to make sure our son uses the bathroom, waking you up at 4 a.m. to get ready for work and go to the gym, then waking you up. And later on, I found out that he was waking up. I was waking my husband up at 4 a.m. to go to his mistress' gym and her house and go sightseeing with her. So instead of spending that time in bed or spending that time with his family, he was complaining that he had to get up so early to go see another woman, but that was your choice. Anyway, yeah, so I would get up 3 a.m. to let my son go to help my son go use the bathroom. 4 a.m. to get him up for the gym and to get ready for work. Um, Granted, I'm still up around 5 because I'm making sure that he's out the door. He has everything he needs. He leaves. Then I'm checking on my son again by 6 or 7, depending on my son and his mood. My son is up. Now I gotta go downstairs, make breakfast. At this point in time, I would try to work out and stuff, walk around the house so I could try to lose some weight because I had gained a lot of weight and I wanted to lose some weight. So I would do that while he was eating, or I would vacuum or clean something. And then by 3 p.m., my son would take a nap. Sometimes I would take a nap with him. Sometimes I'd be like, this is a perfect time to wash the dishes that I have now because he sleep, and then go take a shower, brush my teeth, wash my face, you know, get myself back together. And that would be my time. So my time was ever time he would sleep. And if he slept for like 30 minutes, that was it. If he slept for 20 minutes, that was it. But like I said, that was only my time. And he would complain about just me having 1 hour to myself, when I would give him 1 hour to be with us, and then the rest is free range. Like, you could do what you want. And he took for granted that not only did he go wash his car, which he loved to do, I considered that free time. You went to the gym, that's free time. You played on your computer all day, that's free time. You watch movies downstairs with me, that's free time. You had enough time to go have a whole affair and go stay at the mama's house, that's free time. You had free time. What are you complaining about? You had free time. But like I said, I didn't know all of that, but he just kept unloading stuff on me, and I felt so depressed. And then I felt like I was taking beatings emotionally. And then one day, like, he came home and he was looking at Instagram, and I was walking by as he was looking, and I saw him scroll back down to a girl that was on the bed, bent over. And so I was like, I know you're not. And he literally looked at me and said, I know you didn't put your hands on me. My dumb self said, I'm sorry, but what are you doing? And then that was a whole big deal because I mushed him. But he never apologized for disrespecting me, which that's disrespectful. How you gonna look at another female and I'm... But then not only that, that's when I saw the downhill spiral, because again, nothing I was doing was good enough now. He was complaining about stuff. I know he came home and he was like, hey, I work hard. I'm tired of taking the trash out when I come home from work. So I started taking the trash out. So now, like I said, all you got to do is come home, eat the food, and go take a shower while I wash the dishes and get your clothes ready. So once the emotional beatdown started happening, then something physical happened. He did not beat me. He never put his hands on me ever in life. We were being intimate and he was being too rough. And I was letting him know, you're being a little too rough. He called me a chump. By the end of it, I was bleeding. I was like, hey, I'm bleeding. And he was like, oh, sorry. Now, this to me was like a physical type of pain. Mental pain, physical pain, emotional pain. You hurt me physically, mentally, and emotionally. Mainly because I've been through slight trauma with almost being raped. And just, I don't know, that whole situation kind of messed up my mental. But I was trying to like get over it, let go. I was like, oh, he was just playing and stuff, but that really hurted me. And then when I learned out like he had an affair, I was like, so you were pretty much thinking about this chick while you were messing with me. And it was a whole nother type of mental thing. But then, yeah, that was the emotional. And then that was the physical. Then came the mental because he came home, asked for a divorce and stuff. And I'm already depressed. And I was like, by September, because he promised me in September that we would work on things. He would come home more. And again, we would be back in love because every time he came home, we were in love. But before that happened, he asked for a divorce. And then the mental mind games and stuff started happening. And so then it became like a mental, emotional, physical thing with me. And I just was like, I need to just, it started showing in my body. Like, the anxiety and the things I was going through, it just started manifesting from inside to outside. And yeah, it was so much. And it was such a downward spiral. And it took everything in me not to just tear that house apart and just go ape crazy on him and the girl and everything around me, because that is how I felt. And for such a long time, I've always felt like if I'm hurt, then everybody needs to feel hurt. If somebody caused me pain, then that person has to feel pain immediately. It took everything in me not to do that, not only because I love Sai, but because I also knew that he was hurt and that he was hurting me because he was hurt. Because hurt people hurt people. But also because we have a son and he's always there. And I didn't want my son to have a core memory of me doing things like that to the house, to his dad. I didn't want him to remember any of that about me, because God forbid he gets older and then something happens between him and a girlfriend, him and his wife, and he thinks it's okay to tear up the property, tear up her things, put his hands on her, and I can't look him in his face and say, I did not raise you like that, and he can turn around and be like, well, I seen you do it. So to me, that was a problem. I I didn't want my son to be like that, to go through that, and I didn't want to be the cause of that. I did little things around the house that he probably noticed, or maybe he doesn't notice. I did little things because, again, I was hurt and I needed to release something. But it was so real. The depression was so real. And as soon as I left, like, the physical scars started disappearing. Some were coming a little differently because I wasn't eating or drinking. Well, I was drinking a little bit, but I wasn't eating, so I was starving myself. And it showed that I was starving myself. And I remember he was just looking at me. He was like, so you sitting around not eating? I don't believe that. You eating. It was just the narcissistic type of, like, I don't believe you're going through anything. So it was just, you don't want to believe that somebody you've been with for such a long time could just treat you less than furniture. But again, that made depression so much worse. Like, I was so hurt. But I kept feeling like I have to be strong. I can't let anybody see it. And then when he started bringing the girl to my mom's house, which almost happened immediately after I let him know that I knew that he had been cheating on me, he just, it felt like no care for my mental state, even though he knew that I was suicidal, which I thought about that a lot in the house, like killing myself in the house. And I literally taught my son how to call his father and call his grandma because I was like, I'm not going to make it, because I was so hurt. And I was going through it by myself because the person that I would normally turn to help me was the one causing the most damage. And I just kept thinking, he knows I'm suicidal and he probably wants me to kill myself. And I was like, how could he even do this knowing we have a whole kid in the house? Like, you don't care about if I kill myself and he's just left in the house by himself all day, because we both know you're not going to come home till 12 a.m. Like, it was hard. The whole journey through that was hard. So my anxiety is still pretty bad. And so now when we talk, I try to avoid it. Like I told him, like, I bought my son an iPad, a computer, a tablet, a watch phone, just so he could talk to his dad and me. And his dad would always constantly be like, oh, well, I couldn't get him on a tablet. I want to talk to him. He'll call my phone so he could talk to him. And I'd be like, no, that's what I got the tablet for. Like, I'm not at home. You can't just call. I'm not there. And then after a while, he pretty much got it. And then when I got him, my son, the phone watch, he kept asking me, oh, so when's the watch coming? When's the watch coming? When the watch came and he could talk to him, he still called on my phone, even though he could call on the watch phone. Because at this time, I always had it on my son's arm when I left. He always had it. But he constantly still called my phone. And I was like, look, I'm going to work. You have to call the watch phone. And he started to. And then I realized that he wasn't letting my son call me on the watch phone. And I was like, hey, we had an agreement. He's not, calling me. If you don't want him to call me, that would be cool. We have a voice thing where we could leave each other little messages. So he could let him leave me a message and I could leave him a message and stuff like that. It was for, my way of contacting my son and his way of contacting our son. And he said to me that he wasn't going to do that. Now, this triggered me only because I felt like he kept trying to control certain situations, but it was pissing me off because it was like, you literally said it was a great idea to get this watch phone. You said, yeah, I'm going to make sure he keeps it on him at all times. And then as soon as he gets the phone, now you don't want to do any of that. Why do I keep paying bills? I done bought the boy a cell phone, and he would take the cell phone. My son would say he has the phone, and so my son couldn't contact me. So he had an iPad. He gave him a phone, so he didn't play with the iPad too much. Because when my son would have the iPad once a blue moon, he would, video chat me. And then again, iPad wasn't being used. Every time I give him something and my son would call me or have access to me, he didn't seem to like it and he wouldn't use it. And at this point, to me, I feel like I'm making a big effort and you are not. Like, I'm paying for stuff and you make way more money than me. I'm saying, hey, call your dad. I sent him videos and he took it the wrong way. I wanted to show him, like, look, I'm constantly telling our son to call you on the watch phone so he can call you and be used to it. And he took it as me showing him that our son didn't really want to go stay with him. That's not what it was. It was me constantly saying, call your dad, call your dad, call your dad. And at one point, my son would be like, oh my gosh, you always tell me to call my dad. You're always saying call him. And I would be like, yeah, call him. You're supposed to. Um, yeah, it was a constant thing. And I feel like you're not putting in any effort. So why should I keep putting in effort? And like I said, it's just talking to him and texting him, it causes such an anxiety that I just don't do it anymore. I told him that I would just send pictures, and I have just sent pictures because I would text something like today, I sent him a picture of my son because he's about to take a picture today. Well, he's about to take a picture, but he's going to take a picture today. So I sent him a picture, and I said he picked out his own outfit and did his own hairstyle. And I showed a couple pictures, and I left it alone. And I know he texted me something back, but I haven't read it, and I don't want to read it because, again, triggers. He could even just text me something like, hey, um, thanks for sending me the picture. Um, can you ask him to call me? And if I say, hey, I asked him to call you, he said he would, and then he'll text me back. He never called me, and I'll text back, well, I'm at work. I don't. I feel like in the end, he always says something that triggers me. And I don't want to be triggered. I don't need anxiety. I don't need to do that anymore. And I would always say, I'm doing this for my son. I'm doing this for my son. Every move I made was for my son. But now, like, again, it's okay to do some things that are for your own sanity and health too. So, yeah, no, I am not. I am not and will not keep doing that. I'm not going to keep answering. Like I told him, all he does is send me one picture on Sunday near the end of the day. I don't get to call my son. I don't get to talk to him. And he actually said to me, I can, I want to say, consider letting him call you from my phone, which sounds so stupid, like he's doing me a favor. I could let him call you from my phone. I can think about that. That's something I might be into. No, he has a whole watch phone. I don't want to call your phone. Like, I bought him a phone so I can contact him. I don't want to call your phone. You don't need to call my phone to talk to him. The only time we need to contact each other is if I'm saying, hey, it's an emergency, something happened, or hey, it's an emergency, or hey, this and this happened, hey, he got great grades in school. Like, that's the only time. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to talk to you. I don't even want you to pick up the phone. I don't want to call you. Again, triggers. I don't need to be triggered. I don't want to be. I don't need to be. So, and also, it's a respect thing. You can't ask me to do something that you can't do. You can't ask me to make sure he calls you when you can't even make sure he calls me. Like, one day he told me, I don't apologize. Me and I'm going to just say it. Me and Raggedy Ann don't apologize. We both don't do that. So to me, he's taking on a persona, a part of her. So to me, you can't tell my son he needs to apologize for things and you don't even apologize. And I feel like he probably didn't even apologize to our son about everything that he's put him through. And it's so crazy to me. It's wild because I always looked at him as to be the father that would be like, you know, like when all this happened, he would say, I'm so sorry for what I put you through. I'm so sorry that I made you feel like this. You know, I love you. You know, this will always be your home. You know, blah, 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 blah. I feel like the only thing he probably has ever said to him was, you know, this will always be your home. But again, like, he put so much trauma on me when I was already dealing with depression. And then when we moved, our son was like, why can't I be with daddy? And I was like, you can be with daddy. I can, you know, tell him to come get you. And he would be like, well, then aren't you coming? No. And then he would come home and be like, well, why is Raggedy Ann in the house and sleeping in your bed? And I'd be like, I don't know. That's something you have to ask your daddy. And he'd be like, well, why is Raggedy Ann living there now and we can't? I don't know. You have to ask your daddy. Then he started throwing tantrums. He was already on the tantrums part because his dad was never really home. So now he's just even more because of the situation. Then he had abandonment problems. He still does. When people walk out the door, he would throw the biggest tantrum. His grandma could just literally go to the mailbox and he would be in hysterics thinking that she was just leaving him. And he would literally say, she's just leaving me because, again, abandonment issues. Then he has, like, again, anxiety is what his dad thinks he has. He thinks he has anxiety. He thinks a lot of things. But again, it's like you caused these problems and you won't even say sorry for them. You caused these problems and you don't have to really deal with them because you only have him for 2 days. I had to deal with the crying, the screaming, the why doesn't he love me and he doesn't love me the same and where is my daddy? And I had to deal with all of the fights because he would try to hit me and stuff. He got to the point where he would try to buck up at me and I had to correct that real quick. And I remember I even called his dad and was like, you know, you need to talk to him. And then he would. And then his dad called me once and said, hey, you need to talk to your son. And I talked to him, but he likes to throw it in there like, you would call me and do this. Well, you would call me too. Don't forget that. But with him, like I said, it's always a tit for tat type of thing. And I'm so tired of that. I'm too over tit for tat. And I deserve respect. That's something I've always said. I deserve respect. I deserve more respect than what I'm being given and showed. Like, you did all this crap to your family and you have the nerve to make demands. No, sir. Like, he literally shitted on my character. Shitted on my character. Lied and said I cheated. Lied and said I was trying to kill him. Lied and said all this stuff that I read in text messages. Just lied. And he was the one cheating. He was the one threatening to call the police on me. He was the one doing all the crazy stuff. He was the one being manipulative. He was the one going out having affairs. He was the one acting up. He was the one who would call me on the phone and act like I was saying something horrible to him and put it on speakerphone. He would do all this crazy stuff. And he forgets that. And he also has made it clear that that's not who he is and he's not going to stay in that place. He's not in that, he's not going to let that define him, though it already defined his character because that's what he did. And it's like, of course, you're like, I'm just moving on from this. And he's not. All he's doing is putting a blanket over a situation that he did not fix. And I've noticed that with him. He likes to put a blanket over things like, well, I'm just going to cover it up and act like it's not there. That's not how you fix trauma. That's not how you apologize. That's not how you fix pain. That's not how you deal with things by putting blankets over them or little band-aids knowing it's still oozing blood. That's not what you do. You clean up your mess, you fix it, and then you go on. But he doesn't want to do that. So because he don't want to do that, this is what it is. Like I said, I can fix things. I'm not going to fix things by myself. I'm not going to continue to keep doing things by myself. Every time it's been a disagreement between us, I'm always the one that reaches out and say something. And I'm no longer doing that. Like, it's not, you're not making a priority of this, so neither am I. I was chill. I was even like, when my son's school started, I sent pictures of his school supplies, letting him know I got everything. And I also wanted to video chat his dad so he could go with me and Sebastian, like, into the store and, like, not physically in, but, like, see on the camera of us school shopping so he could still be a part of that. But again, he was just being a jerk to me. And I was like, see, now I don't want to deal with you. So then that situation got ruined because you don't know how to communicate and talk to people, or me. So every time, like, I'm thinking, oh, this will be great, he can, be a part of this, he does something, and I'm like, well, nope, I don't want to deal with that. And I've got to the point where it's like, I just don't want to deal with that. I don't want to deal with him, period, at all, point blank. I don't want to deal. I don't care. I don't have the ability to keep going on and on and on when it feels like I'm just doing it by myself. Not taking care of my son by myself, though. I'm pretty much am. Just feeling like I'm putting all the effort in by myself. And I'm kind of a little resentful that I had to go through all that, mental and physical stuff with my son. And he didn't have to deal with any of it. I hate that because, like, how dare you cause this problem and you don't have to fix it. I gotta fix it. Not only did I have to go through all that, lose everything, now I have to fix it too. But I didn't cause the problem. I mean, I guess I want to be the best mom that I could be, and I want to co-parent with Sai without all the gaslighting and all the disrespect. I feel like he just triggers anxiety, traumas, and yeah. And I used to look at him and feel nothing but absolute love. I used to just love this person. And now when I look at him, all I think is selfish and cruel. Like, he is the representation of those two words to me, selfish and cruel. And again, like, I had a big fear of commitment. Like, somebody used to ask me if I would ever marry them, and I'd be like, no, I don't believe in marriage. And I married him. And my big fear with marriage was that I would be with somebody that would constantly cheat on me, and I would constantly have to fight girls, and I would constantly have to do all this stuff. And I believe that nobody could be faithful or loyal. Nobody understood what love was, and it was a made-up emotion. And I had always thought that if I ever got married, it wouldn't last because, again, it's a made-up emotion. It's not real. And people only cheat and they don't value you. And basically, he showed me that I was right. But I know that that's not true, that there are people that do love people and that can value people and that can put in the effort and that can understand, communicate, and talk to you through things. I understand that. But that was a big fear for me. And it was almost like he handed it to me. Like, yep, you were right. So yeah, I called a therapist. I'm gonna put the number for the therapist, like type people that I'm trying to see, because again, I don't want to bring my traumas and my anxiety and everything to my son's life, because I have a fear that he will just be like, I seen his dad have abandonment issues, and I'm so scared that he's going to bring that into his life, his relationship, his friendships, and everything like that. That is good. I don't know where I ended, but yeah, basically, I just wanna, make sure everything goes good with my son. I wish I could co-parent with Sai in a healthy way. I feel like if he did things better, then this wouldn't even be an issue. I feel like even if he just listened and communicated better, it's not just like, well, this is what's going to happen. No, that's not how you communicate. That's not how you come to agreement. Like, I wish that we could do that for our son, but again, we can't seem to agree on anything. We can't even, like, we can't do it. And I don't think he really wants to. But in the end, like I told him, you're not hurting me anymore. You're just going to be hurting our son. Like, and at one point I saw it coming. I told him, I said, we need to go to counseling so we can communicate. I wanted him to get whatever he had to get off his chest, because like I said, I felt like he was taking shots at me, but I understood that he was hurt, and he was hurting me because I was the closest thing to him, and he had been lying, and now he was being confronted with certain things, and he had to quickly escalate certain situations to make everything fit. But I feel like, I feel like he just, instead of being like, let me make this right so I can be a part of my son's life, so I can get certain things and benefits for my son, and my son can still be very much heavily in contact with me like I want. I get so distracted so easily watching this movie, little boy running in the desert. But I feel like instead of him doing that, he has a complex where he's trying to protect this woman's feelings, and he's trying to make it look like, hey, I completely have no respect for her, don't care for anything she got to say. Your opinion matters, what you do matter. Like, she literally redid my son's hair, which I had no problem with. I was like, okay, cool, it looks cute. And then as I unraveled it, it was cut by like a bald spot he has in his hair. And I'm like, why would you let her do that? And he was like, oh, if it was cut, it pretty much let me know that his hair needed to be done, so it was done. No, you need to talk to your friend and let her know she is not allowed to make decisions. And you shouldn't even gave her the right to do that in the first place. No, you can't cut my son's hair. Every time I hear them talk, it's something about his hair is matted. If his hair was matted, you couldn't even get a comb through it. They don't know what matted means. Every time I do my son's hair, it comes back cool. So if you don't know how to take care of hair, don't touch it. If you need something specifically done to the hair by the time he comes to see you, that's something that you should request. And if you knew how to communicate, it would be something easily done. Hey, so I'm going X, Y, and Z with Sebastian this weekend, so can you make sure his hair is like twisted or braid? I would give him stuff to put on his hair, and he would tell me, I don't put that on his head. I'm literally giving you the stuff to help lay the flyaways down, and you don't want to do it. like I said, it's just triggering, and too much anxiety and too much just. And I let my friend read some stuff because I was like, hey, let me know if it's me. Let me know if I'm the one that's like just being just asking for too much. And she was like, I just from the text messages, I don't like him. And she was like, just from everything that you're saying, you're asking for something that's normal. And he's not being reciprocating. He's not reciprocating anything. It's almost like one ear and out the other. And yeah, I feel that way too. One ear and out the other. And every time he says something's going to happen, it does not happen. Like, he could be like, yeah, I'm going to make sure he wears the watch. Now you don't want him to wear the watch. Yeah, I'm going to make sure nobody touches his hair. Now somebody's touching his hair. Yeah, I would never leave my son alone with somebody. But as soon as I moved out, he was alone with the girlfriend in the house playing games. And he sent me pictures of this. And I wanted to just run him over with the car because what kind of sense that? I mean, you cheat on me and then you show me the mistress in our family home playing with our son. Like, do you see the gaslighting? And for him to think it was okay. And then he would send me pictures of him out to eat with her and our son and think it was okay. Like, do you see where I'm getting? Like, it was malicious and it was like he was just trying to intentionally hurt me. But for what reason? And even when he apologized, I believe he apologized 3 times. The first time he apologized, he said he apologized, but he didn't feel like he did anything wrong. So I didn't accept that apology because you felt like you didn't do anything wrong. So it's not a real apology. The second apology he gave me, he said he apologized. I didn't deserve it, but it's what made him happy, and he felt like it wasn't selfish for him to be happy, which is completely selfish. And then he went on to say, I'm sorry if you felt that I hurt your feelings. You did more than hurt my feelings, and you hurt my feelings. So that's a sucky apology too. The third one is when he said he apologized if he hurt me and that he was sincerely sorry for the pain he caused if he caused any. These are not apologies. And then the fourth time he told me I don't apologize, which I don't know why he brought it up, but he said me and Raggedy Ann don't apologize. We have that in common. Good for you. Go through life without apologizing for the things that you have done, the pain that you caused, the destruction that lands at your feet. That sounds really healthy. And Homegirl's a physical therapist for individuals that need help. She sounds amazing. But then again, she was saying, God is going to help us through all of this. God is going to help you through manipulation, breaking up a family, well, helping break up a family because she didn't do it on her own, and everything else. Crazy. But he chose crazy. And that's okay. He can have crazy. But what you're not going to do is keep disrespecting me, gaslighting me, manipulating me, and think you're going to get away with it and get whatever you want from it. Until he just realized that you cannot do that. You have to be respectful of your son's mother. And it still hurts that he tried to manipulate me and say I was a horrible mother. And I have those text messages where he said I was a horrible mother. No, actually I don't, because I deleted a lot of stuff off my phone when the case was over, because what use is it? But yeah, when he was telling people I was a horrible mother, and it was like all I got was praises and text messages of how I'm a great mother. But you go around telling people I'm a horrible mother, and then you go around telling people that I talk junk to our son about you. And I never did that. I don't do that now. But I talk junk to him now, because now you are you manifested. I've been talking junk about you. I'm talking junk about you, but I'm doing it to you and also to probably my brother. I vent to my brother and my friend a lot. That's it. And my friend at work, my coworker, I vent to her sometimes too. So 3 people. Himself, 4 if I'm including himself. So yeah, I will tell them that he ain't ish. Because he proved it to me. He proved it. And yeah, like I said, it's just parents create so much trauma, whether it be like little boys want hugs and they're saying you're a boy, you don't need hugs like that. Like that's trauma. So then your kid grows up and I want to give hugs. And then you get older and you're like, why you don't ever give me a hug, son? Because you literally taught him not to give hugs, not to show emotion, not to cry so much, not to like constantly hear you say no, 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 don't do it. And then he gets older and you have an emotionally detached child and you asking yourself, why? I wish more parents would just sit down and work on themselves and apologize. It's okay to apologize to your kid. I apologize to my kid all the time. I was in there fussing at him about the 7 being backwards, and it's because I was sitting like this and he was turning the paper upside down. So it looked backwards to me, but in reality, he did the 7 right. And so I had to look at him and say, oh my gosh, I am so sorry, son. Because I was constantly saying, why you keep drawing the 7 like that? It's not going like that. Like, we were going back and forth at it. And he's like, this is how you make a 7. No, it's not. And he was actually right. I was looking at it backwards. And I had to apologize. And I said, I'm sorry. I gave him a hug. I gave him a kiss. I'm sorry. Mama was wrong. I was looking at it. I actually explained why I was sorry. And said I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? Not just, oh, I'm sorry. No, I am sorry. Mommy looked at the paper backwards. I didn't see that you had it right, but you do have it right. So I apologize because I was wrong. I don't know, some adults feel like they don't have to apologize to their kid. And then when I go to work, all I hear is grown women telling their little girls, bitch, if you don't shut the fuck up, I said you can't have that goddamn toy. They're little girls. Or telling their son, look at your big ass. You think you don't fit in that goddamn outfit? Sis, he is 9 years old. There is no reason to be talking to your kid like that. And I hit a man I was looking for an outfit for, and he was like, damn, I wish I ain't had no little girl. And I looked at him, he looked at me, and he said, damn, why you let me say that? I ain't mean that. No, you said that. I know what you mean. You wish, you didn't have to go bra shopping for your little girl, but you came out your mouth and said, I wish I ain't had no little girl. Like, parents just be saying stuff, and they don't think about it. They don't think before they speak. And they lack control, and they lack, like, acknowledgement. Like, I tell my son to stop crying when he cries about everything. Like, if he just falls out and cry, if he don't get a popsicle and cry, if he just, like, random just tantrum cries. If he's crying because he's hurt, he has a reason to cry. I always tell my son, not everything deserves your tears. So if somebody does something, like they just walk away while you're talking, you don't have to cry about it. I know that hurts your feelings, but they do not deserve your tears. They do not deserve your tears. Not every situation deserves your tears. But I never tell my son, you cry. You need to stop crying. I've always said it's okay to cry, but you ain't got to yell and scream. It's okay to cry, but don't yell and scream. I did tell him he cried so much about a poppet, because them poppets are getting on my nerves. I said, why are you crying so much about these poppets, son? Because he was literally in tears about a poppet, something about the poppet. But the poppet was okay. I think it got food on the poppet or something, or I touched the poppet. I moved the poppet. away from his food because he was eating and he was getting food on it, and I moved it away and I wiped it with a washcloth. And he was like, you wet my poppet. Have you seen these poppets? I mean, it's a poppet. You can't break it. Water don't destroy it, but still, I was like, why are you crying over this poppet? And that's another thing. Not everything deserves your tears. But it's just watching what you say to kids and how you say to kids, and just watching what you do. It's like if you tell your son to stop playing the Nintendo Switch and he keep playing it, and you go in the room and you yank it out the wall and throw it in the outside. So you're teaching your kid that when he says something to somebody, if they don't do it, he can go out and throw their stuff. That's throwing a tantrum. That's a grown person throwing a tantrum. You don't have to take nothing and break it. You can take it away. Be like, oh, you're not listening. Let me unplug it and take it away. Because again, you're going to have to pay for it. Because every parent does. You break something, you go and replace it. I don't know. I wish as people, we just face our trauma and don't bring that into our relationships. But I'm trying to do that now. I'm trying to face traumas, anxiety, pain, and just not bring it into my child's life and bring it into my next relationship. So yeah, that's like my depression story, some of my trauma stories. I feel like a lot of me, like a lot of you probably have anxiety built up from trauma as children. The only difference is I've always tried to work through mine. I always try to understand it and never bring it into somebody else's life. Because nobody deserves that baggage. We all come with trauma. Some type of trauma. Some type of hurt, some type of pain. Whether it be big or small, we all come with something. But the point is not to let it destroy what you have or what you could have. So I hope one day I could look back on this and see my 18-year-old son and he's okay. No abandonment issues. I hope we work past all of that. And I hope one day me and his dad can communicate like adults, be great co-parents. Because right now, like, it's non-existent. I think we both don't want it to exist because at this point, I don't care. I've always tried, and it's been a year, so I feel like I'm timed out. The ball is in his court when he's ready to be open and ready to communicate and be able to negotiate, or what's another word for it? Compromise. Then we could do that. Until then, he's just put a blanket around some stuff and is gaslighting, and it's not going to get anywhere. And he's losing out on time with his son. He's losing out. And I hope he realized that before one day he wakes up and his son is 17 years old and barely calls him. Yeah. So that is my depression story and my postpartum story all in one. Thanks for watching. Hopefully I can insert some stuff so it won't be too boring, like me just sitting and talking. So thanks for watching. Have a nice day. Bye.